Hey, good morning. This is a video in the Green Lives Matter playlist where we talk about the trees and plants of the Bible. This is a study on flowers. Some of these flowers are green and growing, but some of them are actually ornate carved work. SOS, Song of Solomon 6:2. My beloved has gone down to his garden, to the bed of spices, to feed in the gardens and gather lilies. Matthew 6:28, why do you take any thought for your clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not, they neither primp nor shop, but have you ever seen color and design quite like it? The 10 best dressed men and the women in the country looked shabby alongside of them. That's from the version, the Message. Luke 12:27, consider the lilies, how they grow, they toil not, they spin not, yet I say to you that Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Exodus 12:22 is a piece of the law from Passover. You shall take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that's in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that's in the basin, and none of you shall go out of the door of his house until the morning. Song of Solomon 2:1, I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. Isaiah 28:4, and the glorious beauty which is on the head of the fat valley shall be as a fading flower, and the hasty fruit before the summer, which when he looketh upon it and seeth it, while it's still in his hand, he eateth it up. The word open flowers is in there 4 times, and it's all 1 Kings 6, talking about Solomon, who built the house and he finished it. And he lined the walls of the house on the inside with boards of cedar from the floor of the house to the walls of the ceiling. He covered them on the inside with wood, and he covered the floor of the house with boards of cypress, and he built 20 cubits of the rear of the house with boards of cedar from the floor to the walls, and he built this within as an inner sanctuary and the most holy place. The house that is the nave in front of the inner sanctuary was 40 cubits long. The cedar within the house was carved in the form of gourds, Gourds, and open flowers. All was cedar, there was no stone seen. The inner sanctuary he prepared in the innermost part of the house to set the ark of the covenant of the Lord. The inner sanctuary was 20 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, 20 cubits high, and he overlaid it with pure gold, and he also overlaid the altar of cedar. And Solomon overlaid the inside of the house with pure gold, and he drew chains of gold across in front of the inner sanctuary and overlaid it with gold, and he overlaid the whole house with gold until all the house was finished, and the whole altar that belonged to the inner sanctuary he overlaid it with gold. In the inner sanctuary he made 2 cherubims of olive wood, 10 cubits high. 5 cubits was the length of one wing of the cherubim, and 5 cubits was the length of the other wing of the cherub. And it was 10 cubits from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other, and the other cherub also measured 10 cubits. Both cherubim had the same measure and the same form. The height of the one cherub was 10 cubits, and so was that of the other cherub. And he put the cherubim in the innermost part of the house, and the wings of the cherubims were spread out so that the wing of the one touched the one wall, and the wing of the other cherub touched the other wall, and their wings touched each other in the middle of the house, and he overlaid the cherubim with gold. And all around the walls of the house he carved engraved figures of cherubim and palm trees and open flowers in the inner and outer rooms, and the floor of the house he overlaid with gold in the inner and outer rooms. For the entrance of the inner sanctuary, he made the doorposts of olive wood's lintel, and the doorposts were 5-sided, and he covered the 2 doors of olive wood with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and he laid them with gold and spread gold on the cherubims and on the palm trees. So he made for the entrance to the nave doorposts of olive wood in the form of a square. and 2 doors of cypress wood. The 2 leaves of the one door were folding, and the 2 leaves of the other door were folding, and he carved cherubim and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold, evenly applied to the carved work. And he built the inner court with 3 courses of cut stone and 1 courses of cedar beams. Flowers also in there 34 times. Some of it's in Exodus 25, where they're making a lampstand, and some versions call it the menorah. It's the same thing as described, I believe, in Exodus 25 and Exodus 37. It says the menorah was made of pure beaten gold, its shaft and its branches with its cups and knobs and petals springing directly from it. 6 branches extended from its one side, 3 branches on the one and 3 on the other. On the one branch there was 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with knobs and petals. On the opposite branch there were 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms, each with knobs and petals. And so for the 6 branches that extended from the menorah, on the menorah there were 4 cups shaped like almond blossoms with their knobs and petals. The 6 branches that went out from the menorah had a knob under each pair. The knobs and the branches sprang from it that the whole formed a single piece of pure beaten gold. Its 7 lamps were, as well as the trimming of the shears and trays, were all made of pure gold. A talent of pure gold was used for the menorah and its various utensils. That was a reading from the New American Bible. If you read the English Standard Version, it says he made the lampstands of menorah of pure gold. Made a lampstand of hammered work. Its bases, stems, cups, calyxes, and its flowers were of one piece with it. Leviticus talks about flowers being inside of a woman. If any man lie with her and her flowers be on him, they're going to be unclean for 7 days, and the bed that they lie on is unclean. And her that is sick of her flowers, and him that has an issue, of the man and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her, that's unclean. Numbers 8, the work of the candlestick was beaten gold, and the shaft thereof unto the flowers thereof was beaten work, according to the pattern which the Lord showed to Moses. So he made the candlestick. 2 Samuel 2:33, and the man of thine, of whom I shall not cut off from my altar, shall be to consume thy eyes and grieve thy heart, and all the increase of thy house shall die in the flower of their age. 1 Kings 7:26, it was a handbreadth thick, and the brim thereof was wrought like the brim of a cup, with the flowers of lilies. It contained 2,000 baths. The candlesticks, pure gold, 5 on the right side, 5 on the left, before the oracle, with the flowers, the lamps, and the tongs of gold. 2 Chronicles 4:5 is talking about the same thing. The thickness was the handbreadth, and the brim like the work of the brim of a cup, with flowers of lilies, and it received and held 3,000 baths. Job 14, he cometh forth like a flower, and is cut down. He fleeth as the shadow, and continueth not. Job 15:33, he shakes off his unripe grape as of the vine, and cast off its flower as the olive. Psalm 103:15, as for the man, his days are as grass, as the flower of the field, so he flourisheth it. Song of Solomon 2:12, the flowers appear on the earth, and the time of the singing of birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. SOS 5:13, his cheeks are as a bed of spices as sweet flowers, his lips like lilies, dropping sweet-smelling myrrh. Isaiah 18, before the harvest, when the bud is perfect and the sour grape is ripening in the flower, he shall both cut off the sprigs with pruning hooks and take away and cut down the branches. Isaiah 28:1, woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is as a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys, of them that are overcome with wine. And the glorious beauty which is on the head of the fat valley shall be as a fading flower, as a hasty fruit before the summer. Isaiah 46, the voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and the goodliness thereof is as the flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the Spirit of the Lord bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of our God shall stand forever. Nahum 1:4, he rebuketh the sea and maketh it dry. He drieth up all the rivers of Bashan languisheth, and Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languisheth. 1 Corinthians 7:36, if any man thinks that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and so need require, let him do what he wants. He sinneth not. Let them marry. James 1:10, but the rich, in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it withereth the grass, and the flower thereof falleth, and the grace of the fashion of it perisheth it. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. 1 Peter 1:24, for all flesh is as grass, and the glory of man as the flower of grass. The grass withereth, and the flower thereof falleth away. And this is a message from the Book of Mormon, Jacob 5, starting at 32. But behold, this time it has brought forth much fruit, and there is none of it which is good. And behold, there are all kinds of bad fruit, and it profiteth me nothing. Notwithstanding all of our labor, now it grieveth me that I should lose this tree. And the Lord of the vineyard said to the servant, what shall we do to the tree, that I may preserve again the good fruit thereof unto my own self? And the servant said to his master, behold, because thou did graft in the branches of the wild olive tree, they have nourished the root, that they are alive, and have not perished. Wherefore thou beholdest that they are yet good. And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard said unto his servant, the tree profiteth me nothing, and the roots thereof profited me nothing, so as long as it shall bring forth evil fruit. Nevertheless, I know that the roots are good, and for my own purpose I have preserved them, and because of their much strength they have hitherto brought forth from the wild branches good fruit.